Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today we are going to look at the classic Bulleit Rye. For many people, this is the introductory into ryes. As you can see, a little bit smaller than normal. Okay, went with the 350 here because due to budget constraints and my ever-expanding whiskey collection, which nobody seems to be helping me with, but that's okay. Soon the wife will be able to help me with taking care of some of that stuff, so that'll be great. Anyways, due to those factors, decided to scale things back a little bit. I can get a pretty large selection of the 1 ounce shooter bottles and these 350s, and so I'm going to be switching to those just to kind of cut down on budget expenditures here and stuff. So, but hopefully still be able to keep going with these reviews. So, Bulleit Rye, it may have been my introductory into ryes. I'm trying to think back. When I was living in North Dakota in Jamestown, I used to drink a lot of this stuff and really appreciate it. And then my buddy introduced me to Pendleton 1910 Rye, also an excellent one. But this Bulleit, I think, is kind of the standard for most people. It is produced by MGP, and it is bottled for Bulleit Rye brand, which is owned by Diageo, that company, that big conglomerate. They own the company, or the brand, excuse me. And so, Bulleit Rye, straight American rye whiskey. Sorry, this is a 375, not a 350. I misspoke on that one. It is 45% ABV, or 90 proof. This is one of the classic labeling things. You know, green has somehow become the notoriety for rye. So you have that. As far as pricing goes, where I am at, a 750 is going to cost you about $27.50. Excuse me, 59 cents. And this 375 cost me $12.59, so roughly half the price. Actually, I think this ends up, if I do the math quick, being slightly cheaper. So this might be the better way to go. Let's open her up. Sorry, this is the first video of the day. It's early in the morning. Still don't have all my stuff in order here. And I have no tasting notes on this, so we're just going to taste this one straight up. Go into it blind. So you guys can see how that goes for me. It is June 12th. My last video has just dropped today that I did my last batch of videos. I'm going to do a bunch more here today, and then I'm going to get those posted up. And those will be dropping in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully you enjoy those. So right on the nose, I get this sweet floral eucalyptus. This is kind of headed down that Sazerac direction. Not very much spice. It's very classic Four Roses floral. Now I did see online that somewhere it said that Four Roses did produce this. But on the bottle it says Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which means that's an MGP product. But it kind of has that floral, Four Roses, Buffalo Trace note in there. But definitely heavy on the eucalyptus. A little bit of licorice, pretty light on spice and herb. And kind of a sweet smell to it. The alcohol is not really in there at all. 45%. For a lot of people who are accustomed to drinking 80 proof, maybe that might be a little bit bitey, but I'd say by and large it's on the small side of things for proof. This one doesn't smell very alcohol forward. Okay, so this is drinking like a lot lower proof. Very syrupy forward, sweet. There's some caramels and vanillas forward, actually, into this herbal sweetness. If you've ever had chartreuse, it kind of heads that direction where you get like this earthy herbal note that happens to be underlain with sweet. So like imagine, say, like basil and mint and thyme and all those earthy herbs muddled into a sugar syrup. And that kind of has that flavor starting off forward. And then it moves into this spice, this classic rye spice note as you push into the finish. And then you get just a touch of oak in there after you get the rye spice. The nose hasn't changed. So it pushes into those, I mean, it has a sweet undertone all the way into the very end. The very end has a dry, slight oak finish, a little bit of black pepper and ethanol bite in there. I would say if you were to taste this, if you haven't already, this is the classic rye flavor profile, or at least it's cut out of the very middle section of flavor profiles that you would think of as rye, or most people would come to expect as rye. It is quite delicious, I think, and I highly encourage people to go out there and use this one maybe as an entry. It's a great mixer if it's not quite up your alley. But yeah, many a days have been spent drinking this, and it's just a good one to share with people. Most people who aren't even rye fans can even appreciate this one. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Again, as always, in the comments below, please let me know what you can find a bottle of Bulleit Rye for in your area. Like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, family, whoever you think might be interested in whiskey. Would appreciate that. These videos in this series are probably going to be largely just whiskey reviews, and then some of them we'll throw a little bit of life in there with it. So for this one, I'm just going to talk briefly about current events and the craziness of the world we are in. So this year we went from impeachment of Donald Trump on, forgive me for the pun, trumped up charges. Like, it was horseshit. Anybody who saw it knew that that wasn't going anywhere. They had no case. Now, I'm all in favor of justice, right? When there's been a egregious wrong, there should be justice. No matter who it is, where it is, whatever. Personally, I also believe that the American government needs to be handcuffed and reformed because they are not serving the American people by and large, which is why we are where we are. It hasn't been happening, they have not been serving us for a very long time, and so we've kind of devolved into this chaos. So we went from impeachment, which was a sham, all the lies we've been told for the last 3 years, which are a sham, and verifiably so. We have the evidence, we have the documents, we have all the proofs showing that it was a sham. And I'm not a Donald Trump fan, mind you. I just think that, you need to give credit where credit is due, and although I'm not a fan of him, he has not been the worst president we've ever had. Then we went into COVID, and COVID also kind of largely a sham. Not that it doesn't exist. Okay, so I got my dog outside my window barking at a rabbit underneath my deck. I'm not sure if you can hear that or not, but sorry. So COVID, not a sham. It is a disease. It is something to be aware of and take precautions for. But, this whole lockdown the economy indefinitely, that whole BS. And let's suspend civil rights, and let's suspend the Constitution. Also BS, not warranted in these circumstances. Let's scuttle the economy. Not warranted in this situation. The facts have sussed out as such that none of those things needed to be done. Now, the lockdowns, I will argue, maybe in the very beginning when we didn't have hardly any information and all the models were projecting absolute death and destruction. Okay, let's lock it down, let's get a handle on what's going on. Once that happens, we can move forward, right? So we did that. We got the information, or some of it, and now we're regressing. We're still not moving forward. We're still going the opposite direction, even though all the facts and data that we have show that pretty much we didn't need to do any of what we did. Okay, throw that one out. Now we're to civil unrest. So now we have people who believe that they're unique and individual snowflakes, and somehow the world needs to account for their feelings and bow to their every demand. No, that's not how the world works. Try that in any other country and you'll find out that it really doesn't work that way. Quite frankly, I'm a bit disappointed in the American public at large for allowing this kind of nonsense to go on. It's been going on in the background for years, and it's been slowly building amongst young people and highly encouraged in supposed institutions of learning. That's ridiculous. But really, I don't understand how we've gotten to this point where people think that their opinions matter to other people. I mean, hell, okay, I'm giving you my opinion right now on this video, and if you're watching at this point, sorry if you don't agree with me, but tough. But the point that people think that their opinion somehow should dictate what's going on just because they have an opinion or a feeling about something seems to be it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I'm in favor of justice. The riots is not only an infringement on everybody else's rights, but their safety and security. And this weird world we're living in where somehow you think you're justified to create a violent act and then not be met with violence is just unrealistic. That's not how the world works. You punch me in the face, I'm going to punch you back. That's just how that's life. And for far too long, these crazy people have this protected bubble where they could say and do all these actions without consequences. It used to be, and I think I was probably the last tail end of it, because even when I was in school, we still got caught, or we still got in trouble for stuff. But it used to be when you were a kid, if you started a fight, you either finished it or you ended up with your butt kicked and you learned a lesson. You have to develop that pecking order, and it's a lot better to develop it when you're in first and second grade before you can really hurt each other than when you're in your 20s and you think you're going to go out with a baseball bat and somehow get people to bend to your opinion. This is just nuts. And the reason why I bring all this craziness up is because I'm about to bring a child into this world. I don't even know what the heck, to be thinking. I mean, for those of you who have ever seen the movie, the Nicolas Cage movie, The Rock, and the very opening scene, after he defuses the bomb that's going to blow up his office with sarin gas, then he goes home to his girlfriend, and his girlfriend sits down and they have a little love scene, whatever. And before that, he's talking about how, he thinks that it's cruel and unjust to bring a child into the world at that point in time. And then, the very next line is she says, "I'm pregnant." And she says, "Well, you didn't really mean all that." And he goes, "Well, I meant it at the time." And she says, "At the time, you said it 10 seconds ago." And he goes, "Well, gosh, a lot's changed since then, hasn't it?" And that's pretty much where we're at. I'm bringing this child into this world, and it's like, gosh, where are we at? What is this child going to look at the year of his birth and go, what in the heck happened? Will there even be a United States of America in another 20 years? Because these crazy people are out there trying to be authoritarian while claiming authoritarianism is repressing them, which couldn't be further from the truth. Personally, I believe we need to have more libertarianism, more personal freedoms, and I think those personal freedoms are already written into the Constitution, but the government has failed us by not upholding them, but repressing them, and then bowing to those who would also try and repress them, which is ridiculous, because that's the sole purpose of the government to start with. But, I don't know. I'm kind of at my wit's end as far as where we're going to go as a society. Now, mind you, I live in Wyoming, which, oddly enough, we have our liberal strongholds here as well, that have these crazy ideologies. In particular, the town I live in, which happens to have a lot of elitists from California and New York who have their second, third, fourth, fifth homes here. But by and large, we were not affected by the COVID epidemic. We are not affected by this civil unrest. We are not affected by these protests, which I'm in favor of the protests as long as it's a peaceful protest. The first second there's violence, and believe you me, I believe that if you are a protester in somebody's face, yelling at them, that's an act of violence. You are invading their space. And in this time of COVID and whatever else, it might even be argued that you are using biological warfare against people. I hope it doesn't come to that point of view, but it could be argued. So if you do those types of things, if you are partaking in those actions, do not be surprised when you are met back with violence, and often with more or a higher level of violence than what you are showing. That's how things work. So I don't really know where I'm going. Maybe I'm just griping. Sorry if this video is getting a little long, but, you know, with the idea of bringing in a child, one final thought. My mom has this book from the year of her birth, and it says, what a year it was. I can't imagine what a book, when my son is older, proclaiming the year of his birth to be anything but chaos. This is only June. We're only 6 months into this year, and so far we have had the highest level of craziness I've personally seen in my life. Now, I know we are nowhere near as crazy of a world as it has been in the past, or it probably is going to be, especially with this election. Both sides, and it's funny that we even have two sides. It should be really, there should be no sides, or the sides should be so amorphous. There should be so many of them that you can't say sides, meaning just two. But the fact that we have this election coming, and both sides are already, and have been, proclaiming how illegitimate the vote is going to be for one reason or another. I just don't see this going well for us, and I'm not terrified of the future, and I'm not terrified of where I live. I know myself and many others here will have no problems doing whatever it is we feel we need to do to protect our own and advance towards the future in a promising way. But I am, it is crazy that these small minority groups, and I'm not saying minority as in black, white, red, whatever color you choose to be, whatever sex, whatever gender, whatever sexuality, whatever religion, whatever, anything you claim to be, awesome. You have every right to be that. I have no problems with it. But when you try and force that ideology, you force how people speak, force acceptance, force whatever it is you're trying to force onto other people, it's just not going to work. And I believe that what we're seeing right now in the media, in the larger circles of conversation, even though it is the minority of ideology and followers, it is the majority of the information being presented. And for that, who knows where this is going to go. So anyways, I have rambled on for far too long. Where the heck's my timer? I'm at 20 minutes. That's far too long. Alright, so anyways, back to the topic of conversation. Bulleit Rye, excellent rye, great introductory into the rye whiskey category. Hope you go out, pick up a bottle for yourself. If you find these videos entertaining, I hope that you like, subscribe, join the conversation in the comments. Let me know what you think about any and everything. Let me know what videos you'd like to see in the future. Thanks for letting me ramble, get a little bit off my chest about the craziness of the world we're in. Hopefully, my son has a bright future in this country. Hopefully this country has a bright future, and that this is just a little hiccup in chaos. And don't let anybody tread on your civil liberties. but in doing so, you do not have a right to tread on anybody else's civil liberties as well. So take that to heart, think about it, read the U.S. Constitution, read the Constitution of the state you live in, figure out what your rights are, and uphold them best you know how. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.